can kind of look and see some of the different aspects or different things about the rib. First off, there are 7 ribs left in a rib, a whole rib primal, because we did cut between the 5th and 6th, and we had already cut between the 12th and 13th ribs to use this end of the rib for our grading application. We're going to start taking apart or fabricating this full rib. To do that, we're going to start to take some of the bones off of there to get down to some of the more commonly utilized subprimals or the types of ribs that you'd normally see coming out of some of the plants. To do that, the first thing that would be done is we would take this chine bone or the body of the vertebrae and we would remove that with a saw. And so we've already done that to expose some lean between the rib bones and some of the feather bones that are attached on the other side. After we do that, we would come over from the other side of this cut and we would remove some of the muscles that are over the top of the ribeye itself. Actually, if you see it, if you look at it from this end, you'll be able to see that better. Because you can see these muscles that a lot of times would be referred to as cap and wedge meat or lifter meat. Have some of those names and have some utilization from using them for cube steaks or maybe some stew meat or something like that, maybe even some kebabs. And we'd be able to take those off. There's a nice seam that allows us to just remove those over the top. When we do that, we also expose another piece of real heavy, thick connective tissue. The scientific name for that is the ligamentum nuchae. And it sits in here. It's very tough, hard to do anything with. And so we remove that to, again, get down to those steaks and prime rib that we might be able to get out of this that would be real user-friendly. So when we do that, we've got a cut now that on this end includes the ribeye muscle, that cap muscle over the top called the spinalis dorsi, plus several other smaller muscles that are peripheral there as well. We look at the other end of the cut. Again, this is that end we use to grade, is mainly just the ribeye muscle itself, a little bit of the spinalis muscle or that cap muscle showing up there just a little bit. We still have bones on the bottom side of this. A lot of times this cut, the way it's cut right now, would be referred to as an export rib or a 109E export rib, something like that. This could be used for prime rib. It can be cut into bone-in rib steaks that you might be using there in some application as well. Our next step will be to take the bones off of this and get to a lip-on ribeye roll. As we move from the export rib to a boneless lip-on ribeye roll, there's a couple of things we do. First, we actually came in on the back side or the bottom side of the rib and removed the rib bones. Now normally these would be sold as back ribs and packers may not always do back ribs. They may actually come in and remove the finger meat in between those and just sell bones and lean. But for the most part, you'll see a lot of them sold as back ribs. We'll also come in and do a couple of other things. One, we need to make the tail on these no more than 2 inches from the end of the ribeye muscle itself. So I've already done that and made this cut about 2 inches long. So it was a little longer than that. We'll do that on both ends of the cut of the subprimal to be sure that we're only about 2 inches. And normally you'll see this cut as a 112A lip-on ribeye roll. And when we say lip-on, what we're really referring to is this length of the tail from the end of the ribeye muscle to the end of the cut. So that's the lip-on ribeye roll.